The Pioneer Agronomy Update with Dennis Dolan, Corteva corn breeder. First of all, let's talk about this research center. Tell us about the Moorhead Research Center.
Sure. So I'm a senior research center at the Moorhead, or senior research scientist at the Moorhead Center. I've been at the company for 24 years now in corn research, and been up at Moorhead for about 7 years. So we have 4 breeders located at Moorhead, and 2 corn, 1 soybean, and 1 wheat breeder. So there's kind of been a trend in the industry the last few years of pulling the breeders back into your headquarters and not having breeder participation out in the field. And I tend to believe that's a strength that we have at Corteva, is maintaining our research folks out in the field, you know, in the same area that developing those hybrids for a couple reasons. It gives us more interaction with our sales personnel, gives us more interaction with our customers, and there's a lot of new technologies, but you know, it's still a combination of new technologies and the field knowledge that you gain from walking your plots and from interacting with your customers. So hopefully that allows us to develop hybrids that are more reactive to the customer's needs.
And what are some of the key focus areas here at this particular center?
Sure. Well, any corn research program, harvestable yield is the big thing that you have to worry about. Getting the most yield you can, and you know, with the agronomics to support that. But there's a couple key traits that are fairly unique, that are more important in the area. One of them is Goss's wilt. That's a bacterial disease. So we do artificial inoculation and screening southwestern North Dakota for that disease, and that helps us make sure we select hybrids that are good for Goss's wilt. We also have what we call a boreas artificial wind screening located here at Moorhead. So we've developed this machinery that's a tracked vehicle that actually has 4 big motors on the front, and it can blow wind, and you can change the wind settings. And the idea behind it is we can artificially create wind that'll blow those stalks over. And it's not a replacement for natural stock lodging, but it does give us an opportunity to collect that data and screen our hybrids, even in years where we don't get much for natural stock lodging. We use that same kind of machine also for early roots, late roots, and also brittle snap in corn. Not all of those traits are taken at Moorhead, but at some of our sister centers as well in the area. So.
And at this particular nursery, what are you doing here?
Okay, well, one thing I'm going to point out, I wasn't even going to bring you guys out here today, but I thought, well, we'll see what it looks like. So this was a beautiful looking corn nursery a week ago, and we had some pretty severe hail here last Thursday, on up to about tennis ball size. So it did a big amount of damage in this corn nursery. So just like our growers, we got to deal with inclement weather and react to that. But some of the main things that we would do at a nursery like this, one of them is screen our parent material. And so we just had a recent trait launch with Vorseed and Power Corn List, 2 new trait packages. But years prior to that, we would have been screening the parents for those hybrids in nurseries such as this, and we'd be screening the males to make sure that their tassels produce enough pollen, the females have enough female yield and the correct kernel size, and the flowering data to make sure they would nick in the hybrid production. Also, you could be a reliable supplier, you know, to our customers in those hybrids. And so that's one big piece in the nursery. We also do line development in the nursery, of course, all the different generations of selection of the inbreds out here. And then we also have to have seed of those, so we have a staff out here right now for the last couple weeks doing pollinations in our nursery to make sure we got seed for the next cycle.
And what's coming next here for Corteva?
Well, I mentioned the Vorseed and Power Cord launch, and so like the next big commercial launch is probably going to be new cornworm active ingredients. That pest really overcomes resistance pretty readily in the marketplace, and so we have 2 new proteins that look to be commercially launched in the next few years as soon as they get full regulatory approval. We're also doing evaluation on reduced stature corn. It's a big trait. Another thing, we're always also tweaking our prediction technology and looking to improve that. And so we use that technology to use all the past year's information, both sites and locations, to give us a better estimate of what the hybrid's going to do across a wide set of environments. It just helps us to make better selections. So we're working readily with that too.
Anything else we should touch on here before we let you go?
Well, you know, I'd just point out that you can't dodge the weather, and one of the things I think the strengths that Pioneer has is we do have a big footprint in research in the area. We have researchers, boots on the ground, and that allows us to, you know, to come out here and assess this damage right after it happened. All the important experiments are replicated at other research centers, and so we're able to talk with the scientists at those centers so they can gather the data that we're going to need this fall as well. So it allows us, I think, a better opportunity than maybe a smaller organization would to handle this type of damage.
All right, well, thank you so much. Again, Dennis Dolan, Corteva corn breeder, joining us here for the Pioneer Agronomy Update on the Red River Farm Network.